the truth about the skinny fat physique and how to fix it. Sean here from Fit Fusion Brotherhood. I owned a gym for 10 years. I've coached thousands of clients, and one of the most common physiques that we would see is the skinny fat physique. So in this video, we're going to talk about what it actually is, what causes it, and what you can actually do to finally ditch it. So the skinny fat physique is kind of an interesting one because you might look great with your clothes on, with the shirt on, wearing a suit, but as soon as that shirt comes off, you suddenly don't look fit. You don't look healthy, and you feel like there should be some progress to be made. And the tricky thing about this is you might go to your doctor and they tell you you're at a healthy BMI, which essentially means that you weigh what you should for your height. This may seem great, but we know it's not a great overall indicator of health or fitness. So the issue with the skinny fat physique is all about body composition. So I don't really care about what your body weight is. We care about your body composition. And when you have a skinny fat physique, you have an issue with two things. So you're kind of stuck in between two different worlds here. Number one, you don't have enough muscle. And number two, you probably have too much body fat. Even if you're not super heavy, even if you're not carrying a ton of fat, it's your body fat relative to the rest of your body. So you might be 150 and 160 pounds, where most guys would be around 10 to 15% body fat. But because you don't have enough muscle, because most of that body is actually fat, you might be between 25 to 30%, which is why you look great with your clothes on and not so great with the clothes off. Okay, so let's get into why this is actually happening, and then we'll talk about what you can do about it. Okay, so there are three issues that really lead to the skinny fat physique. I hinted at them a little bit before. Number one is having low muscle mass. Now, the problem is you're not going to build muscle accidentally. So if you're not prioritizing the right things, you're not just going to accidentally put on muscle, and you're going to have a smaller frame. So even if you don't have a lot of total fat mass, because you don't have a lot of muscle, you're going to have a higher body fat percentage, which means you don't really have the frame to fill out your physique, which is when you take off the shirt and you just don't feel very satisfied about how you look overall because there's just not enough muscle there to fill out your frame, which means the only things that's going to really show is that extra body fat, even if it's not a ton. Now, the second one here, of course, would be too much body fat. And like I hinted at before, it's not necessarily a ton of it, it's just a lot of it relative to the rest of your body. And the issue with having a higher body fat percentage is even if you don't have a ton of muscle, that body fat's going to really show a lot more. And this could be manifested in one of two ways. The first one would be what we call visceral fat. So visceral fat would be if you don't really have a lot of fat in other areas, but it mostly sticks around the belly. So maybe you have a bigger stomach and the rest of your body is relatively lean. This is what we call visceral fat. This is the fat that's around the organs. It's actually easier to lose, but it's a lot more dangerous. So simple habit changes can really make a big difference and get that visceral fat down. The second one would be the subcutaneous fat. So the subcutaneous fat is the fat that you can pinch. It's the fat that jiggles when you walk or you run. Now, depending on your skinny fat physique, you may have one more than the other. The subcutaneous fat is a lot more stubborn and difficult to lose, but it's also not as big of a threat when it comes to your overall health. Most guys tend to be more on the visceral side, but some of you may be on the subcutaneous fat side as well. Either way, if you're under-muscled and over body fat, one of the goals, of course, should be to lower your body fat. And then the third one here, and a lot of guys like to chalk this up as the end-all be-all, is anything to do with hormones. Okay, so hormones are extremely complex, so I don't want to oversimplify and just assume that any of these issues are the reason for your overall physique, but there are three hormones that can play a huge role in your overall physique, level of fitness, and health. So if you're a skinny fat physique, chances are there might be an issue with at least one, if not all of these. Number one is testosterone. So testosterone can be manifested in a few ways. Number one, if you don't have a lot of testosterone, one of the ways it kind of shows is what you call like gyno, so man boobs. If you have a lot of extra fat in the chest region, in your pecs, that's usually a result of an imbalance between your testosterone and your estrogen. A lot of people with lower testosterone also store a lot of fat in their belly region and actually can have more subcutaneous fat, so more of the jiggly type of fat. The second hormone that's important to consider here is cortisol. Cortisol is called the stress hormone because it's usually chronically elevated in people who are stressed out all the time or not sleeping enough. And we know people who are high in cortisol tend to store the majority of their fat in their stomach. It can lead to overeating and also just a lot more difficult to lose fat. And then the third one here can be insulin, which is a very complicated hormone, but a very important one as well. This one's especially relevant if you don't have a lot of muscle, because what insulin does is it takes the blood sugar after a meal and tells it where to go throughout your body. One of the main places that blood sugar likes to go with the insulin is to the muscles. Now, if you don't have a lot of muscle, it doesn't allow that sugar to go in those areas, and it will send it somewhere else, whether that's in your liver for glycogen, whether that's as fat, or worst case scenario, it stays in your bloodstream. But those are the 3 hormones to consider that may be affected if you have this skinny fat physique. So now let's talk about what you can actually do about it. Okay, so the first step here is assessing whether or not you're going to try to lose the fat first, build the muscle first, or try to do both at the same time. Let's talk about that one first. For most guys, I would not recommend trying to do the both at the same time, because you end up just spinning your tires and not really going anywhere. The one exception here would be if you're a beginner, if you've never really lifted weights before, if you've never really prioritized your health before, you can get a lot of results really quick. You might be able to kind of accomplish both, so you don't need to restrict a lot of your nutrition as long as you're sticking to really healthier foods. If you're on, this is a spectrum, right? So the skinny fat physique is a spectrum. If you're on the lighter side of it, on the lower BMI, where you body fat's not that low, but your muscle's super low, that's when you're actually going to want to prioritize building muscle first. If you're on the higher end of your BMI and you have a little bit extra body fat, maybe a little bit of muscle, and for most guys, I would suggest cutting that body fat down first. And the reason, there's a few reasons for this. Number one is when you're building muscle, you're also going to build fat. It's almost impossible to avoid this. So if you already have a high body fat percentage, you don't want to keep compounding that. Number two, you become a lot more metabolically healthy when you drop body fat, when your body fat percentage is at a low percentage. So you're going to feel better, and it's also going to make it a lot easier to build muscle. So as the default setting for most guys, I usually recommend to focus on fat loss first and then building muscle later. Of course, there are exceptions here. Okay, so some of the habits, some of the things that you need to do are very similar to what we talk about all the time. The first and most important thing, you need to develop a strength training routine. 3 to 4 days per week. Make sure you work every muscle in your body. If you're relatively new, you want to focus on exercises that work big muscles, and you want to focus on exercises that work lots of muscles. And make sure you're working out hard enough that you're actually pushing yourself into progressive overload. Number two, make sure you're prioritizing protein. Protein is going to be great for helping you build muscle. It's also going to be good for keeping you full and even burning extra calories. Another thing that you want to prioritize is daily movement. Exercise is great, but daily movement, meaning tracking your steps, going for walks, just moving around throughout the day, is one of the best ways to burn extra calories without doing much harm on your nervous system. And then finally, you want to prioritize your recovery. So recovery includes drinking enough water, it includes getting adequate rest days, it includes prioritizing your sleep routine as well. And also when it comes to nutrition, make sure you're not just focusing on your calories and your protein, but you're also focusing on food quality. So lots of fruits, lots of veggies, food that's going to make you feel good, which in turn is going to help fuel your body a lot better as well. Okay, so those are the things that you really need to prioritize. The big four: weightlifting, prioritizing protein, getting your steps in, so being very active throughout the day, and then having some sort of recovery routine. So if you have that skinny fat physique, you're not alone. It's very common. Just understand that it's a combination of not enough muscle, too much body fat percentage. It's a body composition issue, not a body weight issue. So for most guys, I would suggest trying to lose that fat first before building the muscle. Now, there are some exceptions to that. So what you want to do is you want to prioritize your lifting, you want to prioritize protein, making sure that you're moving enough, and of course, recovery is super important as well. Doesn't have to be perfect, so instead of focusing on finding the perfect template, the perfect plan, just get started. If you're not sure where to start, check out some of our older videos. We discuss all of these things in detail as well. If you do enjoy videos like this, do us a huge favor, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.